Welcome to our fourth video. And we're going to now dig into that process and talk about managing the cycle of daily work. And this is called the SDCA cycle, which I referred to briefly in the prior video. So what we see is there's four topics we'd like to discuss. What is the relationship between processes and daily work? How does the SDCA cycle operate to perform daily work? Who is responsible for the quality of work? And then finally, how to develop working rules for standardized production. So daily work is basically standard work for processes. So daily management is a dynamic administration of the routine work that we're doing to comply with external regulations, perform internal procedures, and achieve requirements and expectations of customers. So it's combining compliance to regulations and documented work procedures with continual improvement of the work activities and our processes, and the increased skill development of the workers who are in the process to assure that we increase efficiency and cost effectiveness of the work. So to succeed in daily management requires processes have to be properly documented, measures accurately reported on the status of the work progress, the performance monitor, review, and reported be conducted with integrity, so we can go back and check what happens to be done, and it's visibly evident to senior managers or the decision makers about what is going on, and the system is anticipating the needs of decision makers for information to guide overall direction of the organization. So here we have this SDCA cycle. So without a standard, there can be no improvement. So basically, define how the work is done. So that is the standardized step. Do is doing the work. And check is asking the question, are we meeting targets and quality requirements? So that's the SDCA cycle. So if everything is good, basically daily management is a do check cycle. Work is done and we check it. It's good, we go back and do it again. However, if we see that we need to fix something at the check step, then we rotate around the cycle to the act step. And in the act step, we're making an adjustment. We're actually trying to say, how can we improve the process to get it to do exactly what we want it to do? And this is, if you will, that Kaizen journey or the continual improvement journey. And then when we figure out what can be done, then we update the standard and we train the people, and that's the standardized step. And then we return to the do check cycle. And then we keep doing that as long as we stay within the control. So basically, as we start to look at this, we see quality management is delivering quality in SDCA. And so basically, this whole process is about, if you will, quality. So what's missing from this model? Well, we see without a standard, there can be no improvement. And so this improvement process, or Kaizen, is what we're missing. How do we actually go about making that improvement? How do we do, and who should do the improvement work in the process? So as we're looking at this, we start seeing organizations are actually rather complex. Many people are engaged in the process. And we see each of them has some responsibility for quality of the content and the process and their job that they are doing in that process. So the job of the worker is to ensure the quality of the work, maintain rate of production, and make continual improvement in their work processes. The maintenance activity assures production availability. The equipment can be used when they want to use it. They anticipate machinery and equipment problems, so they do preventive maintenance, and they assure worker safety. Process engineers design the line flow so that we can have balance in the work and get the most efficiency in cycle time, make continual process improvement of the equipment and the methods and measurement capability we have, and incorporate new technology as they can. The supervisor is there to train the workers, assure standard work, and facilitate problem solving and improvement. And the production manager is there to encourage the workers, assure customers are delivered value, maintain relationships with suppliers, and manage the finances. Now, Taiichi Ohno made this comment in his book, Workplace Management. He said, in Japan, it's said that time is the shadow of motion. In most cases, delay is generated by differences in operator, motion, and sequence. The job of the supervisor is to train the workers. At the same time, workers must be taught to help each other. Carrying out standard work methods in the cycle time helps worker harmony grow. And the word for harmony is also the word for peace. In other words, it's a peaceful coexistence or a collaborative environment. And so as we start taking a look, we see that the building up of this system actually does not follow the SDCA process. It follows the process that generates the work standards. And so this is basically called the 5R process. And so standard work is demonstrated the best way to do it. So first, the first R is make the rule. This is understand what is it we do that we see gets the best results, and then we define the rule. Then the second R is teach the rule, and those are the jobs of the supervisor. Keep the rule, this is the job of the do step in the SDCA, and that's basically about managing the process. The check step is the check the rule to make sure we're applying it properly and getting the right results. And the fifth is change the rule, and that's the act step in SDCA. And so basically, as we look at this, when we're starting off, we want to establish the rule-based system. We want to understand how the measurement system and the flow system work together and what rules and limits should be used to check the system. So operators are responsible for the quality of the work. If it has been properly documented, that's one condition. They have been given the training and the tools necessary to do the job the right way, that's a second condition. And they are granted the decision rights to self-manage work to assure quality results. Now, those three conditions were established and stated by Peter Drucker, Joseph Duran, and Dr. W. Edwards Deming, all three of whom studied about this idea of standard work back in the 1970s. And Peter Drucker's comments actually came in the 1950s in his book, The Practice of Management. And so as we look at this, we start seeing that there is a need to understand how we do this SDCA process. So what different activities in your routine work could be described using SDCA? In which part of the SDCA cycle do you spend most of your time on a daily basis? Are you in the do, the check, the act, or the standardized part? And then what improvement activities have you and your team done recently to act or adjust or to standardize the process? When you check your work, what is most often lacking in quality or in need of improvement? And do your measurements change, or are they consistent so you can have traceability and see how well you're improving over time? So have some discussion about that, and as you do, you'll start understanding more about the potential for improvement of your own work process. Thank you very much.